I was planning on putting this around Sage 23, so this video is incredibly late, but whatever, here you go. Hey! I like Sonic the Hedgehog a lot. I mean like a lot. I'm not sure if it's a problem yet. Although, being a fan of Sonic means I am very used to disappointment. I know that's dramatic and I'm obviously not viciously upset that the franchise as a whole is inconsistent, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Instead, I want to talk about some amazing fan games that I've played over the past few years. When you have a company like Sega making strange and outright bad decisions, there are fans that will, for a lack of a better phrase, do it themselves. And if you are a fan of the series, there is no shortage of what you're looking for in a Sonic game within the fan game space. You want a 3D game in the likeness of the original trilogy? You want 2D games in the style of the classics but with some new spins and twists? Do you want a full-ass fighting game based in the Sonic universe? Do you want an on-foot racing game that isn't this? Do you want Sonic Omens but good? Most of us know that quite a handful of fan games out there are demos. Believe it or not, video games are not easy to make, especially when you don't have a giant budget or studio backing you up, and even then, quality is not guaranteed. Please be respectful to devs, you fucks. But that doesn't take away the sheer amount of talent and drive seeping within these games. It's unreal sometimes. To be perfectly clear, I have not played nor do I own every single fan game because 1, I would be dead in the ground before I even had the chance to finish them all. And 2, this video would be 5 hours long, so I'm just covering the ones that I currently have in my computer. Let's start with this might be the closest we get to Mania 2. This game looks and sounds so damn good. It's only one zone with 2 acts, but my god does it nail that Sonic magic. The controls are tight and responsive, and the levels feel very catered to the characters, which, by the way, there are 5 of them, and they all feel good to play as? The sprite work is immaculate. I can't get over how amazing the art direction is. The gameplay is very Mania-like, and I'm all for that. It's like I never left, baby! The only thing that kind of bummed me out was the big rings not being obtainable. It makes sense, there aren't any special stages yet, but I always felt great finding the big rings in Mania, so I had like a oh, right, kind of moment. Both the levels and the boss theme are great, and I absolutely love the victory theme. This is an easy recommendation. Go show these guys some support by downloading it, please. Next up is Sonic Quantum Collision. This one goes for its own thing in pretty much every aspect, except for the opening title using the sound effects from Mania, because why not? That game is practically perfect. It gives off an interesting first impression because the game has a top-down hub world. That's pretty cool. It's obviously pretty limited because demo, but I really like this idea. When you get dropped into the first level, the amazing presentation just hits you. The sprite work, the music, the HUD, the way Sonic's shadow... is casted on the background. Sonic's cheeks puff up underwater. Ah, that's so cute. The illustrations for the level transitions are very nice looking, and the levels themselves are very fun to go through. Just another amazing 2D game all around. I really hope we see more from this dev in the future. Sonic Storm is fucking rad. It's a 3D platformer with a PS1 aesthetic, which is something I need more of in my life. It has a lot of emphasis on parkour and momentum.
Ooh, he said the word!
The game is super fun to control. It reminds me of the adventure games a little bit, but with more parkour involved, which is really neat. A majority of Sonic games have parkour in them, but after playing this, I feel like Sega one day should just outsource a game that fully commits to a third-person Mirror's Edge style game. Sonic's Edge! The movement is super smooth and captures that sense of speed in the original games very well. Although I will admit, I am not very good. Look, I don't know, I thought I could go down there, okay? Leave me alone. I love how the fast-paced music kicks in once you hit the clock. It gives off an urgent speedrun to the end kind of energy. Now, obviously, this is about Sonic, and while platforming is the genre most of these games fall under, how about we change it up a bit? Oh yeah, Sonic Smackdown is a very well-made fighting game, and my god, does it play well? The roster is stacked too. We got Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, Rouge, Gamma, Amy, Blaze, Silver. Oh no. The game includes music from a majority of the franchise, even including tracks from Sonic Rush, always a fan of that, but the few original tracks are pretty good. That training theme is nice. And of course Pumpkin Hill is in the game. What are you, stupid? The models look really good in the game along with the lighting, but the best thing about the game is the controls. I don't have the game fully figured out yet, but it just feels good stringing moves together. Sonic and Shadow have a half circle input that makes them go super. That's fucking sick. Shadow has his guns. I will admit I was not doing very well in the arcade mode, so I had to pull out the big guns, bitch. Alright, now we're gonna move back to some 2D stuff, starting with... Sonic before and after the sequel are older fan games from the early 2010s that are pretty much what you want out of a game in this style. Fun levels, great controls, amazing music and sprite work. There are even fan remasters of both games. The version of after the sequel I played had widescreen and the drop dash. Fuck yes! Both games have animated cutscenes. That's pretty novel for a 2D Sonic game. Before the sequel just drops you in and that free-flowing speed just comes naturally to you like any other Sonic game. While that is the case, I honestly have no goddamn idea how this special stages work. After the sequel is pretty much the same with new levels and cutscenes. And like most of these games, I just kind of accept my path however I get to it. How? How did this happen? How is this thing floating? Did I break the game? Am I at fault here? How did I even... Oh, it's actually a level gimmick. Never mind. That's kind of cool, actually. The same creators actually made a third game that does things pretty differently, with each level having a direction variant. I'll have to check it out for myself since OBS wasn't really willing to be friendly with it. This is another gem right here, Sonic Time Twisted. It's a different take on the CD time travel mechanic, given that you switch times in an instant, and once again, I have to say it, the sprite work, music, level design, fantastic. And to top it off, fucking Knuckles is here. What else do you need? Oh, look at that, you race Metal Sonic in the special stages. I love that this game did the racing special stage before Mania did, which is extra neat given that they released 3 months apart. Allegedly, this game was 12 years in the making. Holy shit. I really think you should check this out. It's fun as hell. Now, this isn't a fan game particularly, it's more of a ROM hack, but whatever, I want to talk about it anyway. Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited is the, in my opinion, I have to stress that, definitive way to play Sonic 3. There are so many options to choose from. You can even have the drop dash. Let's fucking go. Fuck Origins. This is how you play Sonic 3. Get this shit now. If you can. I'm pretty sure they delisted the game off Steam. Ooh. Okay, back to the games. This is my favorite 2D game of the lot. Triple Trouble 16-bit is incredible. This is more of a reimagining of the Game Gear title. Kind of reminds me of AM2R's approach, keeping the spirit of the original but having some tweaks here and there. It uses the art style of Sonic 3 and makes the story take place after the events of the game. And I mean right after. These fuckers can't catch a break. I know it's not canon, but I think of it like trying to put the DBZ movies in the original show's timeline. These guys go through shit every 2 weeks. You have the ability to swap characters on the fly, which is pretty fun. Why does this look familiar? Oh, no, not this again. No, please get out of my brain. And then suddenly, whack! Jesus! Sonic then wastes no time going super, but then just gets knocked out of it like he didn't get hit any harder in the last fight. But I mean, hey, to be fair, Knuckles did the same thing in the last game, so I guess it's just keeping the consistency or lack thereof. Oh hey, Fang is here. That's right, he was in the original game. That's actually his debut. The first level clicked with me right off the bat. The great level design becomes very apparent. Not to mention the great soundtrack. It just sounds like a proper Genesis Sonic OST. Wait, what was that? Oh shit, the super peel out is in this game. That's pretty cool. I mean, I won't use it because spin dash. Speaking of which, I have to check.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I'm waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Going back to the swapping mechanic real quick, my favorite part about it is seeing this classic move from Tails' perspective. The levels here are so fun, all of the different gimmicks make them distinct. There's even a secret level in Robotnik Winter Zone, which is so cool. Now going back to the story, it follows Sonic 3's style of presentation along with some twists and turns. Fang is the side villain of the game, but he is pretty predominant in the story and boss fights. More like predominantly in the ground. A few of the bosses are Knuckles for some reason, but it turns out he had actually been kidnapped and it was actually Metal Sonic the whole time. He even ends up being the final boss of the game, and I think the final zone name is cute. I love that kind of naming scheme. Anyway, the boss fight goes as follows. You beat his ass, he grows big, you beat his ass some more, the day is saved, and Sonic flies through space forever. The end. The boss was actually pretty fun and challenging. It would have been a bit of a letdown if it was too easy or something. Like Sonic Heroes, after beating the main story, you unlock Knuckles and Fang, or Knack, oh my god, he's back. After beating Knuckles' campaign, you unlock Metal Sonic, and he's actually really fun. Unfortunately, Knuckles is the only unlockable character with his own story. I get that it would have absolutely taken more time to give Fang and Metal their own story, but would have been cool. Still, this game as a whole is one of the best Fang games I've played. Alright, now we're gonna move on to some more 3D games.
Hi, my name is Lababis Kravis. Have you ever played Sonic Omens and said, gee, I wish I was playing a good game right now? Well, fear not, because Sonic GT is here for you. No longer will you have to deal with the overuse of Bloom and enjoy a story that doesn't have edgy and contentious writing. No longer will you deal with bad level design or random difficulty spikes. Sonic GT actually understands how a game like this should feel. Download Sonic GT today so that Sonic Omens stays dead. I really hope to God, those guys don't deserve shit.
This game does an amazing job combining the open sandbox and the regular level progression, creating a 3D Sonic experience any fan should get their hands on. The levels feel great to navigate through, the controls are so smooth, it's so damn fun. The bounce attack in this game honestly feels better than the adventure games, only because you can use it to keep your momentum going, there's that word again. There's a whole story with 4 huge levels with bosses in each. There's even post-game content with collectibles that unlock a slew of playable characters. Mighty, Ray, Shadow, Metal Sonic, Super Sonic, Classic Sonic. Now here's the thing. While this game is great and you should absolutely go download it, it's not my favorite 3D game in this list. We still got 2 more to cover, and oh man, do I have a lot to say about these. Sonic the Hedgehog Project 06. You may have heard of it. A developer by the name of Chaos X took it upon himself to gradually port Sonic 06 to PC, and my god, the work that's been put into this game is outstanding. First things first, the amount of changes, especially on the newest build. It really makes this the best way to play 06. The controls feel a lot more responsive. This is no longer the practically unplayable mess that is the original. At this point, all 3 characters' main levels are playable, minus of course the bosses, and honestly, if for whatever reason this is all we end up getting, I'd be totally cool with that. Playing through all of these levels is so much fun. I can barely even remember the dysfunction of the original. It's not even just the gameplay and physics that were tweaked. There is a ton of cut content brought back in the game. Sonic's Rainbow Gem that lets him turn into Super Sonic is back. Some unused animations were brought back and tweaked. Even switching rails with a button press was brought back. Yes, if you don't remember, you can only use the homing attack to change rails. There was some cut dialogue showing that feature was supposed to be in the game, but was probably cut for time. Sega is great. Speaking of cut dialogue, there is so much that was brought back here. I didn't even know how much dialogue was cut from the game until I saw Thomas Baker's video detailing the work he and Chaos X did to restore it, and based on his rough estimation, there were around 988 lines of dialogue cut from the retail release. Jesus fucking Christ. That's way under half of the recordings. To this day, cut content is practically Sega's bread and butter. With these returning sets of dialogue comes some pretty neat level intros and events that make them feel like shit is happening. Cool establishing shots with seamless transitions to gameplay actually make this feel like the intended design of the game. I love this kind of stuff because it makes the world feel vital. I think the silver ones are my personal favorite, especially the original animation by Jordan POX or Pox. It's so expressive and shows some of Silver's character. The way the levels are structured take a lot from the adventure games. Physics definitely takes a part in the game's core. Sonic's levels are all about speed, Shadow's are more about combat but still have that speedy feel, and honestly, the vehicle sections are kind of unnecessary, especially in this version, but I guess I don't mind them that much. Silver's are all about physics and timing. You can stack up points by dragging enemies along and throwing them at other groups of enemies. Oh, right, the score system. There is a system that scores how many enemies you can take down in a string within a certain amount of time. Kind of like any hack and slash game, just without the smoking sick sexy combo kind of stuff. As long as you stay off the ground and or continuously kill as many foes as you can, that score will keep going up and help give you that sweet S rank. And you want that S rank too, because if you get that rank in every level, you get some special upgrades. For Sonic, you get that aforementioned rainbow gem hidden in Kingdom Valley. Shadow can obtain the memory shard in Dusty Desert that lets him take off his inhibitor rings, makes him invulnerable to damage and one-shot enemies, but the caveat is the meter drains out a lot faster and stuns you once it runs out. Silver has 3 upgrades. 2 of them you could just find in hidden pathways. One giving him a spin jump and increases the length of his teleport dash, very useful. The other giving him a psychic knife attack, not as useful, but pretty neat. But the last one you get after S-ranking every level is the Sigil of Awakening. Which lets him unleash a psionic blast and is basically a screen nuke, much like Shadow's Chaos Blast. Getting back to the gameplay of these characters, Sonic feels really good to control. The bounce attack is just incredibly fun to use, not only to keep a good score going, but to just go ballistic on enemies. I'm practically turning these guys into dust in mere seconds. It'd almost be brutal if these guys weren't robots and weird flame demon things. The Mach speed sections fare much better here, being able to properly control Sonic mid-air and using his bounce attack to slow down when you need to. It makes this feel like the intended next-gen showcase for Sonic. Unfortunately for me, I am impatient and therefore bad at video games. Thanks to the general changes of the game, these floating ball sections are more than bearable, making Aquatic Base actually fun. It's a shame that this is the only time you can play as Knuckles. I would love to have some more Dan Green action.
I've gotta get in there!
Shadow is just so good. He might be my favorite character to play as. The way he can snap to enemies and use the Chaos Spear to keep a long string going really adds to his gameplay. Not to mention, he got his spin dash back. Yes, it wasn't in the original. How did you let this happen? How did you let this happen? Thankfully, his stupid Doom buggy was cut out, so the beginning of Crisis City and this section of White Acropolis aren't slugs. The Chaos Meter, though, oh boy. Chaos Blast isn't a silent fart anymore. Now it actually fucks shit up.
Chaos Blast!
Now, while his gameplay took me a bit to get used to, Silver is a lot better here. The changes to him alone are a fantastic showcase for this project. He's much faster, and his upgrades change the game. He would be at least my second favorite to play as if I didn't suck absolute Mondo dick. But that doesn't change how much fun he is in PO6. The score system really made me think outside of the box when it came to grabbing a batch of enemies and how far I should take them to try and kill a bunch at once. The problem is, while this game is fairly bug-free, the physics still tend to have asthma attacks every now and then. It's not a huge issue or anything, but it does tend to fight me more than I like. Nonetheless, he is still a blast to play, and I haven't even talked about everyone else yet. If you know this game, the 3 main hedgehogs are not the only playable characters, and with the latest build of the game, I don't think there's a single character I dread playing as. Amy and Omega used to suck in the original game, but now, I wish they were here more often. Rouge and Knuckles are a good time, Tails is pretty fun, but Blaze is my absolute favorite side character. Her Flame Tornado and general movement is stellar. I can't get enough of her gameplay. I'm floored, man. Not a single character misses. And with all of the improvements this version has made, my god, when when this is finished in the coming years, this may end up being an AM2R situation where people talk about this along with their favorite official Sonic games. Hell, some people already declare this the best Sonic game, so kudos to Chaos X and the others that helped make this happen. We have a fan remaster of Sonic 06 that completely transforms it into an experience that is unforgettable for a Sonic fan, at least in my opinion. Obviously, if I hadn't made this clear, please actually literally go download this one. Now, drumroll please, last and certainly not least, the absolute pinnacle of the Sonic fan game world, Sonic Robo Blast 2. This is my favorite fan game of all time, hands down. Oh boy. The game feels like if Sega actually managed to make a 3D game for the Saturn, or like if they had made a 3D platformer for PCs back in the mid-90s, it would probably be like this. Although I imagine it wouldn't be nearly as polished because this game has been in development since 1998, the same year as Sonic Adventure, and it's still getting updates to this day. At this point, the game already feels like a finished product, but they're still planning to add future updates for who knows how long. This game, at its core, is just pure Sonic fun. This is the game I would imagine being the 3D follow-up to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. When I first played it back in 2020, I became addicted and never stopped playing it. The levels are so fun, the controls are smooth as butter, finding the different paths bring me right back to the classics, and that soundtrack is fantastic. It just fucking comes in my ear. I should have phrased that differently. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. The gameplay is pretty much what I want out of a 3D Sonic game. Fun platforming with a great sense of speed that never gets old. Gaining some speed from an incline and then shooting myself to the sky is god tier Sonic gameplay. For any campaign run, I like to go with the Sonic and Tails combo. I like to have my little buddy with me wherever I go. It has its problems, but hey, what else is new? Every level presents something new and exciting. I don't dislike a single one. Castle Eggman is my favorite. I love the aesthetic of it. It's got stuff like a collapsing bridge at the end of Act 1 and this huge courtyard in Act 2. The special stages are my favorite in any of these games because it's based on Nights into Dreams. That's awesome. All of the bosses are pretty neat. There's an entire level dedicated to racing Metal Sonic to then fight him. It's genuinely thrilling. Fang is here too? Man, he gets all of the love in these fan games. Too bad he dies in this one. The final boss is a highlight not just because it's a fun fight, but it's a reference to the Sonic OVA.
We don't have time to play little games with you. Get out of our way!
Now, when you beat the game and you get some extra goodies, you unlock Amy, Fang, and Metal Sonic, and they're all very fun. And now here's the thing. Not only is this an incredibly amazing game, that's basically half the story, because this game has an incredibly amazing modding community. Oh man, the sheer amount of fan-made characters and maps is crazy. We got SA style Sonic, which is my personal favorite, can't get enough of that bounce attack, Shadow, Modern Sonic, Silver, Kirby, fucking Samus Aran, just to name a few. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, in this game, you can swap to low poly 3D models and a ton of the custom characters have them too. This is my depression cure right here. Is that sad to say? I don't know. Not only is SA style Sonic my favorite because of the bounce attack, it's also because when you go super, it blasts open your heart. Yeah! Shadow is super fun too. Being able to blip across the map is fucking great. Modern Sonic having his boosts and tricks to build up meter like in Rush. Kirby has actual copy abilities. Samus has a prime style first person mode with like original dialogue to every level. What the fuck? That's so cool. All right, get this. There is a mod that turns this game into a kart racer. Sonic Robo Blast 2 Kart is genuinely, I'm not kidding, one of the best kart racers I have ever played, up there with Mario Kart Double Dash and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. The controls and feel of the karts are fantastic. And yes, it has its own modding community. You can play tracks based on Shovel Knight, Kirby, Monkey Ball. You can play as Dante, Link, Spider-Man, Orale, Gum, Master Chief, fucking Courage. That's my main right there. Oh. It's so crazy that Robo Blast 2 has so much undying support. It's very uplifting to see. There's even a Persona 4 themed track with a remix of Reach Out to the Truth. That's so cool. Speaking of Persona, Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. There is a mod that transforms Roboblast 2 into Persona 3. It even has the battle system, and you can explore Tartarus with a wide variety of characters and difficulty options. I just think this list is actually funny. What's a JRPG? I've played Pokemon before. Hurt Me Plenty. That's going back to the game's roots right there. DK. Spicy like Yuri thighs. And bullshit! Still easier than SMT3. Well, you ain't wrong. The best part about this is that it plays battle themes throughout the franchise, which is great. This series has probably some of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. I appreciate the variety.
Here we go! One down! I'll handle this!
Yep, this really is Persona 3. With that being said, those were some of my favorite fan games. But there is so much more out there. Check out both the Sage and the Sonic Fan Games HQ websites. You'll find a ton of cool stuff there, not just Sonic. These websites are a really good way to find some cool indie games. Rayman Redemption, a fan-made remake of the original Rayman, is here. Pizza Tower had some demos here before it became a full retail game. Seriously, please check them out. I'm sure you'll find something you'll like. And these indie devs absolutely need the support. I'm not gonna stop playing these indie and fan games anytime soon. And who knows, maybe I'll make more videos about them someday? After playing these fan games, all I can say for sure is
Sega, that increased budget you gave Sonic Team better reflect in the next game, or I swear to God!